Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Always fun to dive into a new name.
Definitely. And this one is particularly interesting.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will find this one relatable for sure.
Today we're looking at the name Jessica.
It's a good one.
It is a good one. It's one of those names that feels both classic and modern at the same time. You know, it's like it's been around forever, but it still feels fresh.
Right, like you wouldn't bat an eye if you met a little Jessica today or someone in their 50s.
Totally. So let's start with the basics.
Okay.
Jessica comes from the Hebrew name Yiska,
Okay.
which means foresight or to behold.
Wow. So right away we're dealing with perception, intuition.
Right. Like it's not just a pretty sound.
Yeah, there's depth there.
And here's where things get even more interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Shakespeare.
Oh, Shakespeare.
Most people don't realize that the name Jessica, as we know it today, was likely popularized, maybe even invented by Shakespeare for The Merchant of Venice.
Wow, that's a big claim to fame.
I know, right? And think about it. From Hebrew origins
Yeah.
to Shakespearean drama across continents and centuries,
Quite a journey.
it gained popularity in England and then, boom, exploded in the U.S. in the 20th century.
Really exploded.
It was the top baby name for girls for years.
Wow.
So clearly something was going on there.
Yeah, what made it so popular?
Well, that's a question we're going to try and answer.
Okay.
We'll also talk about why Jessica's popularity has dipped recently.
Oh, interesting. Like, are there new cultural shifts at play?
Exactly. But first, let's get back to the name itself.
Okay.
Because even without a direct link to mythology, Jessica still carries that looking forward vibe,
Oh, I see what you mean.
a sense of vision and potential.
It does, right? Like maybe stemming from its Hebrew root.
That's what I'm thinking. So let's talk personality.
Okay.
What comes to mind when you hear Jessica?
I think bright, friendly, someone with a spark.
Yeah, I get that. I was also thinking youthful, but not in an immature way. More like vibrant, creative energy.
Yeah, I can see that.
And you know what else I kept finding in my research?
What's that?
Versatile.
Oh, that's a good one.
Like Jessica seems to work in so many contexts, a name that can grow with a person.
Like Jessica can be your childhood friend or your doctor.
Totally, or a rock star.
Uh-huh. True.
And it all fits.
Yeah.
Speaking of fitting in,
Okay.
did you know Jessica is associated with the number 3 in numerology?
Oh, I love numerology. Tell me more.
Well, number 3 represents creativity, communication, optimism.
Okay.
You know, it's about self-expression and connecting with others.
Huh. That really aligns with that adaptable Jessica personality.
Right. No, we could spend hours talking about famous Jessicas.
Oh, yeah, we could.
But I think what's more interesting is how this name translates across cultures.
Oh, for sure. Like, do people in other countries name their kids Jessica?
Absolutely. In Germany, you often see it spelled Jessica,
Okay,
while
yeah.
in Spain, it's Jessica.
But it's all basically the same.
Exactly. And even in Japan, they've adopted Jessica, writing it phonetically. It just shows you this name's global reach.
Right. Like it's resonating with people all over the world.
And while keeping its core identity.
It's true. Like you hear Jessica and you just know.
But you know what else is interesting?
Right.
The color palettes associated with Jessica.
Oh, color palettes?
Soft pinks and lavender.
So we're like building a mood board for a name now.
Basically. And it makes sense. Pink represents warmth and friendliness.
Right.
Lavender suggests creativity and imagination.
So it's like a perfect visual representation.
I think so. It's both gentle and vibrant, much like Jessica itself.
I like that.
But speaking of vibrant,
Okay.
we can't forget Jessica in pop culture.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
You've got your iconic Jessica Rabbit, all sultry and memorable.
Uh-huh.
But then there's also Jessica Jones, the tough, complex superhero.
Oh, wow.
From cartoon bombshells to complex superheroes, Jessica covers it all.
She does.
Which brings us to a crucial question.
Okay.
What about the real women who embody this name? How do their stories connect to the qualities we've been discussing?
Okay, yeah, that's the real test, right?
It is, because we see everything we've talked about reflected in their lives.
Give me an example.
Jessica Alba, the actress and entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah.
She embodies that versatility, that drive to achieve.
Totally. And what about Jessica Chastain?
Oh, perfect example.
The award-winning actress known for her powerful performances.
Doesn't she perfectly capture that depth and complexity we associate with the name?
She does, for sure.
And then you have Jessica Ennis-Hill, the Olympic gold medalist.
Right.
Talk about strength, resilience, and a determination to overcome obstacles.
Really inspiring.
It's like we're seeing a constellation of accomplished women, all shining brightly under the name Jessica, each one adding a new layer to its meaning.
Yeah, I love that.
So what does this tell us about the name's potential?
That's a big question.
What is it about Jessica that allows for such diverse achievements?
Well, to me, it reinforces the idea that Jessica carries a sense of possibility and strength. And maybe, just maybe, it goes back to that core meaning foresight.
Interesting.
These women saw their paths and went for it, didn't they?
It's almost like the name itself is giving them a nudge,
Right.
encouraging them to reach their full potential.
Yeah, it's a fascinating thought.
It is. Maybe there's more to names than we realize.
I think you might be onto something.
But before we get too philosophical,
Okay.
let's bring it back to you, the listener.
Hey, listener.
What do you think about Jessica?
Yeah. What comes to mind?
What images or feelings does it evoke for you?
Does it align with your perception of the name?
We've talked about its history, personality, and global reach, but what resonates with you?
And more importantly, what does your own name mean to you?
Because, as we've seen with Jessica, names are more than just labels. They're stories waiting to be told.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how one name can hold so many stories.
Right. Like we're peeling back the layers of time with Jessica.
Exactly. We've talked about personality, global reach, even color palettes.
But what about its journey through time? How has the perception of Jessica evolved?
Oh, that's a great question. If we go back to Shakespeare's Jessica,
Yeah.
we see a character who defied expectations.
She wasn't your typical damsel in distress.
Definitely not. She was independent, courageous, and willing to break free from societal norms.
She took charge of her own destiny.
Right. She challenged her family and community to forge her own path.
And that rebellious spirit, that sense of individuality, seems to have resonated throughout history.
I think so.
Think about all the Jessicas we see today. They're still breaking barriers, challenging stereotypes.
Making their own mark on the world.
It's like the name itself carries a legacy of empowerment.
A subtle nudge to follow your own path.
But it's not always about grand gestures of rebellion, is it?
Right. There's also a quiet strength, a resilience.
I love that, a quiet strength.
A determination that seems woven into the name.
It's not about being the loudest voice in the room.
No.
But having that inner compass, that inner fire.
That guides you.
And that inner fire can manifest in so many ways.
Exactly. It's what drives a Jessica Alba to build a business empire.
Or a Jessica Ennis Hill to push her physical limits.
It's like the name is a catalyst.
A spark.
That ignites a passion within.
It doesn't dictate a specific path, but it empowers you to choose your own adventure.
And that's what makes it so fascinating. Jessica allows for infinite possibilities.
Right.
It's a name that invites you to write your own story.
To define your own success. And speaking of stories, think about all the individual stories behind every Jessica we've mentioned.
Every Jessica we know, every Jessica we've yet to meet.
Each one unique.
Each one contributing to this rich tapestry.
It's like a collective narrative, a symphony of experiences.
All connected by this one name.
And that brings us to another fascinating aspect of names.
What's that?
Their ability to create communities, to forge bonds.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Between people who might otherwise never have crossed paths.
Like how many times have you felt an instant connection with someone just because you share the same name?
It's almost like an unspoken understanding, a sense of shared identity.
Even if your lives are vastly different.
It's a reminder that names are more than just labels.
They're threads that connect us, bridges that span generations.
Echoes that reverberate throughout history.
And when it comes to Jessica, that echo is particularly strong.
It's a name that has touched countless lives, inspired countless dreams.
And left an indelible mark on our collective consciousness.
It's a name that captured the spirit of its time while also transcending it.
That's a good way to put it.
And that, I think, is the true magic of Jessica.
What do you mean?
Its ability to be both timely and timeless, both personal and universal.
It's a name that reminds us that even in a world of constant change, certain qualities, certain values endure.
Qualities like strength, resilience, creativity, and a deep-seated desire to make a difference.
And those qualities, those values are what truly define Jessica.
Making it a name that will continue to resonate for generations to come.
I think you're right, but even with such a rich history and strong presence.
We can't ignore the fact that Jessica's popularity has dipped.
Oh, that's true.
What do you think is contributing to this shift?
Well, maybe it's the natural ebb and flow of naming trends.
You think so?
What was once fresh and modern might now feel a bit dated.
Or maybe it's the rise of unique and unconventional names.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's a whole trend of parents wanting their kids to have names that stand out.
That feel truly one of a kind.
It's like a pendulum swing.
How so?
We move from traditional to unique, From common to rare and back again.
It's all part of the fascinating evolution of language and culture.
Exactly.
Right.
And who knows, maybe Jessica's due for a comeback.
Maybe you're right.
Classic names have a way of cycling back into fashion.
Just look at Emma and Olivia.
They've retained their classic charm while adapting to modern sensibilities.
Maybe Jessica just needs a little rebranding
A fresh perspective.
to capture the imagination of a new generation.
Perhaps, or maybe it's perfectly fine just the way it is. A name with a rich history, a strong personality, a timeless appeal.
A name that doesn't need to chase trends.
To remain meaningful.
That's a great point, because ultimately the value of a name isn't tied to its popularity.
Right, it's about the personal connections.
The stories it carries, the qualities it embodies.
And that's something that transcends any fleeting trends.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into Jessica,
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you, the listener, to consider this.
Okay, listener, pay attention.
What makes a name truly timeless?
Is it its popularity, its history, or something else entirely?
And how do you see Jessica fitting into that definition? Wow, it's amazing what we can learn from just one name.
I know, right?
Mm.
It really makes you think about all the names we encounter every day.
And how much depth there is to each one.
Like we've been on an archaeological dig uncovering layers of meaning.
Exactly. And you know what it's got me thinking?
What's that?
About how names can become almost like self-fulfilling prophecies.
Oh, interesting. What do you mean by that?
Well, maybe not dictate a person's destiny.
Right.
But maybe give them a gentle nudge in a certain direction.
Okay, to see what you mean.
Like if you're always told your name signifies foresight or vision,
Yeah.
might you be more inclined to cultivate those qualities?
It's definitely a possibility. Our names are a big part of our identity.
Right. And we internalize the messages we receive about them.
It's like planting a seed.
Hmm.
It needs the right conditions to grow, but the potential is there.
And those conditions are shaped by so many things.
Right. Like family culture, societal expectations.
But the name itself might act as a kind of anchor,
I like that, an anchor.
a subtle reminder of those inherent strengths.
Then possibilities.
Which brings us back to Jessica,
Okay.
with its connection to foresight, intuition, creativity.
Yeah.
It's almost like an invitation to a life of purpose and passion,
A call to look beyond the obvious.
to trust your instincts, to express yourself authentically.
Those are powerful messages to carry.
Absolutely. So what does all of this mean for you, the listener?
Whether your name is Jessica or not.
I think there's a valuable takeaway here.
What's that?
Your name is more than just a label.
It's more than that.
It's a story, a legacy, a potential waiting to be unlocked.
I like that.
It's a reminder to embrace your unique qualities,
To explore your hidden depths.
to write your own chapter in this crazy thing we call life.
You know, that's what makes these deep dives so rewarding.
I agree. We take a simple topic like a name
Yeah.
and uncover a whole world of meaning.
History and possibility.
And we do it with curiosity, wonder, and hopefully a little bit of fun.
Because that's what makes learning fun.
And transformative.
So the next time you hear the name Jessica,
Think about everything we've talked about.
its rich history, its vibrant personality,
Its enduring appeal.
and most importantly, think about what your own name means to you.
What stories does it hold?
What potential does it unlock?
That's something to think about as we wrap up this deep dive into Jessica.
Until next time.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world all around you.